We've done longer events last year. We did an 8-hour race, well, 2 8-hour races. So going into this one, I kind of went in with the mindset of, actually, this isn't that long of a race at all. Doing the 8-hour race, 2 drivers, well, all of a sudden now reduced by 2 hours, so all of a sudden I'm doing one less stint. And now it's coming in like, actually, it's not a very long race at all. It's a 6-hour race that is almost like a sprint in my mind. So going into it, I was really relaxed and thinking about it. I just went into it with an open mindset and just went for it to lap after lap. The opening stage of the 6-hour or any endurance race is very critical because all of a sudden the pack is just tenths of a second away from each other, whereas at the end of a 6-hour race it's going to be seconds or minutes. So any tenth that you can make up at the start is multiplied by an unknown amount by the end. So let's say I make up 6 positions, which is worth 2 seconds. Well, by the end, all of a sudden I've made up 10 minutes. It's crucial to get your start right. So I remember going into it thinking, okay, it's a rolling start. As soon as a green flag comes out and I'm going to be told that over the radio, I'm going to be racing. So going through the final corner, I was just eased off the throttle, give myself some room like you're on the motorway, giving about 2 seconds of room. And then I remember seeing the guy with a flag up on the top hold the flag. I was like, I'm just going to go it now. Put my foot down. Then the green flag waved, and it was right at the point I was about to overtake someone, because you're not allowed to start overtaking before the green flag. You just want to get as big a run up as you can. The Toyota isn't quite as powerful as the Porsches or the Carrera cars next door to me, so just getting that little extra bit of a run up before them was critical to that. I knew that before going into it. But yeah, the critical point of the 6 hours, remaining an open mind, be open to the fluidity of the race. It is a long race, and I just said earlier, it is not, but at the same time, you can afford to make some silly mistakes at the start, but just relax, get into your rhythm, and race long. Make sure you don't make big mistakes, just make sure you finish the race. enjoy testing the car because it's always a fact of, well, this is something new. When we raced the car previous, it had a different turbo setup, different throttle map, and different power map. So all of a sudden now, this car's not the same beast it was. It was more powerful. All of a sudden, every little thing you did made a bigger impact. So going through the testing, going through with a fine-tooth comb, and trying to make this car back into an enjoyable, easy race car. The best race cars, or the best setup race cars, are the ones that are easier to drive, and we can do the same lap time. That way, when you're on the limit, it's more recognisable of what you need to do. So we turn down the throttle map to make it a little bit more linear rather than it shifting the weight balance too much. Strengthen the anti-roll bars to make sure the car held itself up. So we just went through with a fine-tooth comb. Other than the testing, my favourite part was actually the 90-minute race, because it was a 90-minute sprint race. All of a sudden, I went out there from doing 90-minute start rounds. All of a sudden, I was thinking, oh, okay, I've done this. It's a little bit longer than like a usual sprint race, but it's not as long as a 6 hour. But then, bam, you're in it. It's like a sprint. It's a full-on attrition going to the line. And I remember a car spinning in front of me. Bear in mind, you're not allowed to pit under safety car. I was like, right, okay, this is a bad spin in front of me. I've got about 10 minutes left on my stint because I can see in the on the dash that how much fuel I've used, and I knew what fuel I needed to have used before I needed to pit. So I was like, right, okay, I'm close to my pit window now. I think this might cause a safety car, so I can get in before the safety car comes out. So it was a real thinking match, as well as just being out and out race. And there's some photographs of me getting my elbows out and trying to find different gaps. But yeah, that was definitely one of the most enjoyable races of the weekend. But the actual, a real good part of racing at Sebring is actually the people, the marshals, and everyone was so friendly. It's just a fantastic place to go racing. in one of the later sprint races, I tried to do what I was doing earlier in the weekend, like what I was saying before, just getting a bit more of a run up, but this time I was farther up the field because there was less actual cars on the grid. So all of a sudden, when I tried to do that, I was then with people I shouldn't have been with, and I didn't know what to expect, and I accidentally kissed someone's back bumper. Everything was fine, it was just a little tap, but it was unnecessary, and I didn't read what the person was doing. So if I was going to do something differently, I'd have actually had more of a conventional start and then brought it up gently, making sure to stay in my pack so I could beat those guys. But because I lost ground at the start, all of a sudden I didn't have time to make that time back up again, because it was a sprint race. It was about 20 minutes or so, so I didn't have time to make that time back up. I finished where I started, but I could have easily come second, so that was a mistake I'm going to learn from. I think it was a very good start. We had a pretty much clean sweep of podiums. There was one race where I didn't get a podium, but that race didn't actually count in terms of like, you know, podium positions, because it was the grid, starting the grid order for the final race. It was a very good start. And if this is, I always find that I progress throughout the year. So if this is the starting point for this year, I feel we're in a very good position to do strongly for the